Welcome to Asphalt Talk. Are you an asphalt professional? Have you ever wished for interesting stories about paving to tell around the dinner table? Does the thought of creating a safe and aesthetically pleasing road make you warm and fuzzy inside? Then this is the podcast for you. Each episode will tackle real industry challenges to pave a smoother way for asphalt suppliers and producers. This podcast is sponsored by MAPA, the Missouri Asphalt Pavement Association. Founded to promote quality and accountability, MAPA has been serving the asphalt producers of Missouri since 1990.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Asphalt Talk. I'm your host, Dale Williams with Missouri Asphalt Pavement Association. Today, we're sitting down with Brian Johanning from Superior Bowen to tackle Brian's priorities as the 2023 MAPA Board of Directors President. With that, I'd like to welcome Brian, and I'd just like to start out, Brian, can you tell us a little bit about Superior Bowen and your position with the company?
Hi, Dale. Thanks for having me on the show today. Sounds like it's going to be a riveting conversation. Superior Bowen is a 75-year-old paving business based out of Kansas City, Missouri. The company has gone through what I would describe as some rapid growth in the last 5 years that I've been a part of the company. We have around 11 crews in the field that either perform asphalt paving or milling on a daily basis. We also have 5 plants in the state of Missouri, I believe is the total number right now. And we perform some grading and site civil general contracting as well. So those are the three main things Superior Bowen does. The grading and site civil general contracting component is probably the newest of those three things, and it's probably around 10 years old.
So, Brian, how long have you been with Superior Bowen?
Next year will be my 6th year. It seems like yesterday, but no, it's been great. It's been great.
Where did you work to previous to Superior Bowen?
So I started my career out with Emery Sapp and Sons. I grew up in Columbia, Missouri, went to Mizzou, and just had some mutual connections there. So helped Emery Sapp get started in Kansas City, along with Tim Paulson back in 2005. Got an Ivy League education working for those guys and with those guys, and have very, very fond, memories, friendships, and relationships there. But had an opportunity to go to the consulting side of the world and went over to a company called Schaefer Klein and Warren, who has since been acquired. But worked there for 3 or 4 years and kind of missed construction. My heart's in construction, and Superior Bowen had this, really wonderful opportunity come about, and Trey Bowen and Matt Bowen, the 3rd generation owners of the family business, had a vision for the growth that they wanted to achieve, and a passion for wanting to take the organization to the next level. And it seemed like a really good, time for me to consider moving. And we did a couple design build projects together, and I just really liked the culture of the company. And so moved over, I guess, in 2017, late in 2017, early 18.
So, Brian, the next question I want to ask you is one I always find fascinating, because I don't think a lot of people start out with this as their career objective. But did you always want to work in the asphalt industry?
No, it's funny, obviously growing up, I guess my dad was in the lumber business. So I grew up around construction, spent a lot of my high school summers pushing a broom in the lumber yard or working at his partner's, farm and ranch up in Hallsville, Missouri. So I grew up around construction, didn't really know what I wanted to do after I graduated from Mizzou. But a guy named Bob Lamone, who's kind of a legend in mid-Missouri, was a very, very dear friend of mine, along with his son Mac, and they introduced me to Emery Sapp. And so I was a concrete guy for 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years maybe. Didn't really didn't know much about asphalt. Obviously learned more when I went to the consulting side, and I continue to learn every day now, being at Superior Bowen.
Well, Brian, we're glad to have you in the industry, and glad you're now on the dark side.
Yeah, that's right.
So tell us a little bit about your hobbies outside of work. What do you like to do?
Oh, I mean, I have a lot of hobbies. Just ask my wife, probably a few too many at times, or my boss, Trey. Uh, I love to I love to hunt. I love to fish. I love to play golf. I am a I don't know. We have a strengths program that Gallup does, um, and we all take the test within our team, leadership team, and even all the way down through the company. And I'm pretty unique in that my 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 strengths set is all about being around people. I kind of get my energy from people, and so just being around people, having a good time, watching a Chiefs game, a Zoo Tiger football game, whatever, you know, relaxing.
Great. So what is one thing that most people in the asphalt industry don't know about you?
Well, probably that I don't know a whole lot about asphalt. my 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 strengths and passion, you know, is people, and I try to use that that strength to my advantage at times when it comes to talking about the industry and, you know, selling asphalt, if you will, as a career. Um, you know, it's interesting. There's a lot of things I work on: commercial real estate, land development, um, you know, design build. In the municipal world right now is starting to pick up a lot of steam. And I think the thing that is unique about asphalt is it offers a ton of flexibility. So, you know, when it comes to the technical components of asphalt, probably don't know as much as a lot of our peers on the board, but at the same time, I try to sort of offset that by, you know, self-admitting what I know and what I don't know, and I try to surround myself with experts like yourself whenever there's a technical need.
Great. So, talking about people, Brian, who has been your most important professional mentor?
Boy, that's a good question, and you know, I would say at different times I've got a number of different mentors, both inside the industry and out. You know, it'd be hard to say who the most influential person has been on me. I will say that Trey Bowen and the Bowen family, just in general, have been extraordinarily kind to me and invested in me. And I've got a coach, Teresa, that helps me through a lot of issues. I turned 40 this year, so it's kind of funny. I joke in the last year or two, I was actually talking with Nick Stone at Ford Asphalt in St. Louis the other day about this. You kind of get to a point where in your life where you have to learn how to be patient, and it's not something that I've always been the best at. But working with Teresa and spending more time around, you know, the Bowen family and other leaders in our organization. You know, when you're around people that make decisions with the next decade and the next generation in mind, they don't make decisions based on a project or a quarterly, you know, return, or that's not how these people think. They think about years and years and years, and I think that's had a huge influence on my life, both professionally and personally. You know, just focusing on my family and my children, and you know, trying to make sure that we're all set up for success in the long run.
And now a public service announcement from our sponsor, May Create Design. Google Translate doesn't work for web designer to paving company translations. You say hot mix and it thinks you're talking about the latest snack craze. Wouldn't it be nice to work with a designer who knows the difference between binders and bitumen? Work with folks who have been speaking your language for the past 17 years. Visit maycreate.com. That's MAYE create.com. Because if you think your website sucks, so does everyone else.
But that's great, Brian. So I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. Can you please tell us why you're a member of MAPA and how MAPA best serves Superior Bowen?
Yeah, I mean, I think that changes probably with time. I think my involvement with MAPA Dale's probably gone back now 3 or 4 years. A guy named Keith Davenport preceded me on the board, and he was kind of a legend in Kansas City for a long time. worked for Clarkson, Superior Asphalt, and Superior Bowen. I think when we first kind of started down this path as an organization, it was obviously to give back to an advocacy group like MAPA that worked on our behalf at the state level with the DOT, sort of setting the trajectory and the course of policy and making sure that there was a bridge between the contracting community and MoDOT. I think that there's a ton of opportunity for MAPA and our investment in MAPA to continue to be enhanced at the more micro level within the design consulting community, both in public transportation and commercial land development, and then also at the public works level with staff at the city and county level in Kansas City and beyond. So I definitely think, hopefully, especially as my tenure as the chair next year, we're going to prioritize, the tons, if you will, that exist at the local level and not take our eyes off the ball of what's happening at MoDOT, because a lot of folks still follow MoDOT's lead in terms of, specification and performance testing, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, that's what I hope to evolve our partnership into as we go forward.
So Brian, what's been the most rewarding part of serving on the MAPA board?
I mean, I could say this is pretty easily just the relationships that I built with fellow board members, with people like Stacy from May Create, Rick Bierman over in St. Louis, yourself, Dale, and Jeff City. Just having peers across the state that I can go to and bounce things off of, ideas off of, best practices off of, without fearing like, a competitor is going to take something that you say and use it against you. I think the MAPA board is really unique in that it's a very close group of folks, men and women, that, are very trusting and share a lot. The fellowship gained through those board meetings and adventures that we've gone on the last few years is easily the best part for me, relationships.
So Brian, you talked a little bit about identifying some of the local tons. Do you have any other goals as you take over as president for 2023?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I have really leaned into, I guess, the last 3 or 4 years is, and it sort of taps into that people thing, is talent, and trying to bring net new jobs into this industry. And quite honestly, I don't care if people want to go hop on a piece of dirt moving equipment, work for a bridge contractor, work for a concrete contractor, or work for an asphalt contractor. We got to figure out ways to get to children and young folks sooner, communicate to them what the industry is all about. There's so many people that don't understand the difference between concrete and asphalt. They don't understand how a road gets built. They don't understand how they can, get a job, join the union, get a job, make $75,000 with full benefits and a pension or 401k. They don't have to go, wait tables or bartend. Not that there's anything wrong with either one of those things, but they don't have to go work nights, weekends, and we got to figure out a way to just educate people more about the benefits of our industry and the positives about being a part of it. So I'm going to hammer that home, hopefully as I sit in the leadership role on the board.
I think that's very important to, like I said, Brian, not just the asphalt industry, but the construction industry in general, especially if we look at the influx of funding coming our way the next 5+ years. So, with that, where do you think the industry is headed in the future?
I think that I think there'll be some change. I don't think it's going to change as rapidly as everybody describes, with the advent of EVs, although you can certainly see how the marketing anyway for EVs is definitely taking a step up. Panasonic introduced a huge manufacturing facility for those batteries in Kansas City this year. You're seeing most of the major vehicle manufacturers, most of the commercials you see on TV now from them are all about their electric models. I think that and automation, like Tesla's automated driverless cars, are going to have an impact at some point. I don't know exactly, when that's going to be. I have the same questions about solar. It's amazing to me that, as we build data centers and other manufacturing facilities in Kansas City, the power needs that exist with some of these operations, and how there's not solar and wind or more renewables to come up with to meet some of those power needs. Obviously, the industrial craze has taken over many of our communities. Kansas City's putting 15 million square feet in place a year the last 3 or 4 years, and why aren't there solar panels on those roofs to help power them and power our grid? And, the answer is probably that it doesn't pencil yet. And so I think until we either figure out a way to build them cheaper, or lighten them up so the load on the roofs isn't as much, or receive government incentives, you're still going to see fossil fuels push and advance our industry. So it's going to be interesting to watch, that's for sure. I mean, certainly 2020 was a year that we all had to witness and endure a lot of elasticity in energy prices, both from gasoline, diesel, liquid asphalt, and burner fuel for the plants. It was a fun year to not a fun year to experience some of that.
That's for sure. So kind of as we wrap things up here, Brian, I guess I just ask, what is one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting out in the asphalt industry?
First of all, approach your day with safety in mind, whether you're driving a car down the road to work, or you're at work and you're on a crew, or you're doing testing, or you're doing inspections, or whatever. Just we want you to get home every night. That's the most important part of everything that we do in this industry. The second thing is just pay attention, I guess, to where there's opportunities. There's opportunities in front of us every day, and sometimes they don't become abundantly clear, and you have to sometimes exercise some patience. But when they become clear, it's pretty cool. And so don't be afraid to work hard, and get after it.
Brian, that really wraps up everything I had. Do you have any parting thoughts?
I don't think so, Dale. Hope that this met your expectations. And once again, I want to give a shout out to you and the MAPA staff and the fellow board members for just being a lot of fun to work with here over the last few years.
Well, Brian, I appreciate your time, and I just like to say thank you for listening to Asphalt Talk, the podcast by and for asphalt professionals. If you enjoyed listening and learned something, please leave us a review. Your review will help us connect with other professionals like yourself so we can keep this conversation going.
Google Translate doesn't work for web designer to paving company translations. You say hot mix and it thinks you're talking about the latest snack craze. Wouldn't it be nice to work with a designer who knows the difference between binders and bitumen? Work with folks who have been speaking your language for the past 17 years. Visit mayecreate.com. That's MAYE create.com. Because if you think your website sucks, so does everyone else.